Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Starletter Season 12, China. We are in what I believe is day number 4, and we have some Group B action for you. It's a best of 3 of Vici Gaming taking on DK. Now, first, of course, I know you people might be coming in like, wait, what happened to game number 1? If you didn't already know, we were having some problems with Twitch. Apparently, something with the delay feature was not allowing the stream to go live, so we had to remove that feature. We did add it on the software side, so there's still a proper delay just in case, but it seems that everything should be working now, so I will apologize on behalf of everything to say, you know, we appreciate your patience for sticking around. So without further ado, let's just get right back into the Dota. So game number 2 here. DK want to fire back, get a win, so we can take it to a game 3. Vici want to close things out and bring you the coverage. It's myself, KotLGuy, and I got joining me remotely my good buddy Basskip. So Basskip, why don't you go ahead and give everyone the TLDR of game number 1 and how exactly it went down.
So what's the best way to summarize? DK went for a Drow push strat. It was Drow, Tide, Shadow Fiend, Venge, and Chen. So should be pretty familiar to most people out there. Vici Gaming, meanwhile, not a whole lot of team fight, just some pickoff and a excellently handled Storm Spirit out of Super. They bend but don't break, giving away pretty much everything aside from no tier 3s, and there's one tier 2 remaining. DK made an attempt up onto the high ground with an Aegis, which didn't result in a lane of Rex, and after that, Vici just took complete control of the map with Zeus dewarding, found non-stop pickoffs with the Storm Spirit, and never let DK back out past the river. So that was pretty much that.
Yeah, they did a really nice job of making sure they could keep DK in check and not allow him to really be a big factor in that mid-game period and the early late-game period where they were hoping to be pressuring into the Vici Gaming base. It just never worked out that way for them, and they could never really get past that tier 3 in the mid lane. At that point, it was just Vici Gaming all the way. So here we go. Second game draft. Vici Gaming open up with a couple of bans as they remove out the pesky, ugly little sniper, and they also get rid of the Wisp. It's funny because yesterday, I feel like they're just going to keep banning Wisp now, because yesterday they did not give the same respect to Hyper Glory Team. They allowed in game number 2 and 3 for KotLGuy to pick up the Wisp, and it ended in a bad time for them. I don't want to say the Wisp was the sole reason, but I mean, in game number 2 it could have been. It was a Wisp Tiny that was just so destructive that there was nothing Vici Gaming could have done. But to see him ban Wisp here, it can't help but make me chuckle a little bit. On the side of DK, though, they ban out the Bat and Morph, and it looks like our first pick of the game is going to be another potential FY Lion.
I don't know if you... I don't even remember game 1 here for the draft, but do you know if Hao was drafting in game 1 or if he was drafting yesterday? Because historically the drafter for Vici Gaming is FY.
Yes.
But here we have Hao drafting. I didn't actually catch the games yesterday against HET, so I don't know who was in the captaincy, but I'm going to go check right after this match, because I don't know if they just changed between game 1 and game 2, or if they changed between yesterday and today, or if they've just changed since the addition of Hao. Of course, drafting is always a collaborative effort. It's team focused. You know, everyone can have input, everyone has a voice, but the person who is making the final selections is actually really relevant. So I'm interested to see. I didn't catch it during the draft because we had all the tech issues, but yeah, Hao is in the captain's chair. Also, they're prioritizing Lion above Troll, above so many heroes, which is really interesting to me. And yeah, DK are just gonna sit there, scratch their head for a little bit, like what exactly is going on, chew through almost all of their reserve time, take the Troll, take the Storm Spirit, and looks like Vici are ready to just fire back with the Shadow Fiend.
Well, first, to answer your question, I had the technology, so I just quickly fired up a VOD from yesterday to verify, and indeed it was FY who was captain, at least for the game I happened to bring up in their series matchup against Hyper Glory Team. So yeah, this is, I don't know if this is the first time that they're going to put him in this, you know, kind of drafter position, but it's certainly different than what we've seen before. And yeah, just to echo what you were saying, behind, you know, the computer screen on their Skype or whatever they use, we don't know if they're actually using a more collective effort to decide on what the best and appropriate choice will be. But it is interesting to see that little crown pop up for Hao, their newest member. So we'll see how much of an impact that could or could not be, or see if their draft tends to be very different. So far, it seems pretty standard. Shadow Fiend Lion, nothing too exciting there. For DK, now it's going to be their turn to use the Storm Spirit Troll Warlord. So, you know, maybe they're trying to hold anything you can do, I can do better.
Reserve time.
Yeah, at least Vici Gaming do have the Lion already to potentially deal with the Storm, though I think we've already seen performances that show that even if you feel like you've got one or two heroes that can cope with locking down the Storm really well, a good Storm player can still find their opportunities. They can jump in, they can immediately silence one of those counter initiators and still get a lot done. So the Storm Spirit pick is really, really trending over here at the moment, as is the silencer ban / silencer pick.
Oh,
I caught
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just
here.
Yeah, it's happening. It was so funny because yesterday I was saying the same thing with LD, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. You know, what's all about? I asked Owie when he stopped in briefly for one game. I believe that was in the series after I casted with you and you had to step out. Owie actually joined me for one of the games, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Like, only in this region of Dota am I seeing respect early bans and pickups of silencer. And it's a support silencer. It's not your Slasher's Way pub silencer where you get Shadow Blade or something like that. It's just a good old support who just sits in the lane and zones back the offlaner with those glaives. It adds a huge impact. But to get it early, it just seems so odd to me. Now, yesterday, I believe it was Hyper Glory Team, yes, where they actually held off on the pick, waited till the back end, where it became very useful because at that point, on the other side, you had a Storm Spirit and you had all these big teamfight impact heroes that a quick global would just shut down. In fact, the person it affected the most in that series was Ice Ice Ice. He tried to play an Enigma, and we saw maybe only one, like, decent black hole. It wasn't even like a huge black hole. It was just like, oh, it actually lasted the duration. That's just how crippled he seemed to be because of the silencer grab.
Yeah, I mean, he is very good against a lot of the heroes that we see at the moment. He's quite good against Storm. He's very good, I would say, against Axe in a lot of ways, just because it sort of shuts down the opportunity for Axe to really go aggressive because he can lay in a lot of harassment early. Pretty good against, you know, heroes like Venge for counter initiation with Swap. And I wonder if that was maybe what Vici Gaming were actually angling for here, though DK are going to snag the Venge themselves. It's really good to have against the Lion, of course, but yeah, Vici sitting there chewing through a little bit of their reserve time. Looks like they weren't 100% on what the next pick was going to be, but just going to fish for some more information and just grab the Earthshaker. So they do get themselves some nice additional lockdown and potentially a way to protect the Shadow Fiend on mid as well if they feel like he's going to be camped a whole lot by the Venge plus whatever other support is coming out of DK.
All right, yeah, so both sides pick up a combo-breaking defensive support where you think, I don't know, from the Vici Gaming side, I believe when they play Shadow Fiend, they still keep it with the old mechanism, BKB. They don't really bother with the latest craze that all these young kids are doing of the Blink and Yules. Sometimes they experiment with it, and I almost want to say it was Newbie who tried it out DAC, you know, where Hal was at. And but it was Moo, of course, who played it. And they tried out the Yules thing. It just didn't really seem to land for him. So I'm expecting more Shadow Fiend being the candidate for the mech so they can build around that. But what I was going with is that when your Shadow Fiend typically wants to jump in and kind of drop down to Requiem, it's always good to have someone like a Vengeful Spirit to quickly pop you out if you need it. And then Earthshaker on the other side for Vici Gaming. He can linger around that mid lane and really put on a lot of movement between the top lane and the mid lane to come out from the darkness and either land an initiating fissure or just kind of break up any sort of initiation from the side of DK. But here is some interesting picks. The fourth grab here for both sides. First, DK grab up an Omni Knight, which is something that does not pop up anymore. A lot of people feel there's just too many ways to work around it. And a Phantom Lancer. I believe this is the first time I've seen one of these Chinese teams run the new Phantom Lancer.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it just yet either, but they definitely needed the Diffusal Carrier, and the Mana Burn is actually going to be great as well. You can't get away with letting DK have Storm Spirit plus Omni Knight and not have some way to get rid of the Repel. That's just asking for Earthshaker and Lion to die constantly. So what else? For Vici, it might still be worth grabbing some BKB piercing or some Magic Immunity piercing lockdown, potentially. Something like a Beastmaster offlane could work out really nicely for them. Give them some vision of the storm before he jumps in. You could even have vision of the Venge if she's looking for a defensive swap from the trees or something like that, and have the roar ready even if the repel is up and you don't have the Phantom Lancer nearby. But that also works.
Yeah.
It's going to be a doom for Vici. And actually, off-lane Phantom Lancer, it looks like, for Vici here. This is something that everyone's been talking about. I know almost every competitive offlaner in recent memory has been asked by somebody, what do you think of the new Phantom Lancer offlane? Some people, I think Jenkins is somebody who said they were totally not convinced at all that it was possible. Some other people have said that that there's maybe something to it. I think Bulldog, for example, was one who wanted to try it out, but someone's actually going to put it to the test potentially here with Ice. Though who knows? It might just be that he's somewhere else.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is I feel like whenever there's a new trendy hip kind of a thing, just like back at the Summit 2 when Broodmother came back into Captain's Mode, Ice was one of the first people to kind of jump at the chance to use it. Or if it's like a Phoenix or something, he seems to be one of those kind of players that's almost eager to kind of try it out. Now, I don't know if that means that he's the only one that maybe feels comfortable. Maybe he's had more time using it in pubs or scrims, and he might end up just taking it to the, common respected safe lane. But I'm with you, man. I wouldn't mind seeing the potential of the off-lane Phantom Lancer. But regardless, it was a beautiful response to something like Omni Knight. If you needed a diffusal carrier, he's like the best one you can ask for right now. Once this guy gets a diffusal, it just gets ridiculous. And I don't really know what this Omni Knight's going to do. He's going to have to be in good position. And the scary thing for Omni Knight is there's not a huge casting range for his skills. He has to be pretty close to make sure he gets his, group together for a good Guardian Angel or even a Repel or Heal. And he better hope that he doesn't get swarmed by all these illusions, because he's going to be out of the mana really fast if that's the case.
Yeah, I am really excited to see the Omni Knight pick. I think the one big reason that they can kind of go for it here, so the one big reason that we don't see a whole lot of Omni Knight is he's of course difficult to lane. He's a melee support, and that means that it's difficult to zone off laners. If you get some, if there's a last pick off lane that you can't deal with, then you can completely just lose the game out the fact that you have Omni Knight down on your safe lane. The one big reason that they get away with it this game is that they managed to get Troll, and I would say at the moment Troll is pretty much your best carry when it comes to dealing with offlaners and keeping them zoned out. Once he gets his phase boots up, it's very, very easy for him to just keep pressuring, and that kind of lets them get away with the Omni Knight pick here to some extent.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's very happy that he has almost like a free BKB potentially early on with this Omni Knight in the game. But they have two pretty somewhat defensive supports. I'm curious to see if they're going to go with any movement. Now, Super, the Vengeful Spirit Super on the side of DK, does go with early boots, though. So he might look to kind of get a little bit aggressive early on as soon as I finish saying that. So we'll have to see. It looks like top rune being scouted here potentially from both sides. Look at how he kind of peeks up above the stairs there to see if anyone's waiting, and indeed they do see Bristle. Oh, they block the one side and they try to do a wraparound, but they're already out the other. And I don't think they're going to be able to move them forward, or at least try to keep them backing away. But now they're going to engage. Super gets caught with a magic missile. They might be able to right-click him down. Can they get him? No body blocks from how to keep him back, though. But, oh, one more. Oh, I want it so bad. I can't get it. Oh, very unfortunate. But Super does live. He'll have to already chew through some serious early tangos, though. He actually gets a salve. That might have been handoff from Hal. So he's very happy about that. And, hey, he's just in time to kind of do his best to get a back end of a block here, and actually ends up slightly in his favor because of it.
That would have been the perfect revenge for Vengeful Spirit there, because the previous game it was Super on the Storm Spirit giving Super on the Chen a very, very hard time.
Yeah.
And the support player almost got his own back there, but not quite. So a little bit unfortunate. We will once again have this Shadow Fiend versus Storm Spirit matchup on mid. This time around, no pesky Chen creeps to intervene, and no Precision Aura either. So it should be, it's that slightly Storm-favored matchup that we are used to at this stage.
I gotta say, Ice, he's got to be pretty happy, because the zoner he has to deal with is this Vengeful Spirit, who has a stun, but it's not the fastest projectile. At least he should be able to work his magic with a doppelganger to kind of avoid it, as long as he's decently quick on the trigger. Me, I'd flub it up because I'm old and slow and I have no hand-eye coordination, but a young, jubilant Ice, he should be able to kind of have that Q button ready to go, so in case pressure comes in, he'll be able to quick sidestep it.
Yeah, and it's slow enough as well that I don't think Ice is going to get scared by a pump fake either. If the Venge starts running up and just trying to fake out the magic missile, he's not actually going to cast Doppelwalk until he actually sees the projectile in the air, and that means that he should be able to, at least in theory, dodge it pretty reliably. Same story as the Ravage in the previous game. You don't really need to, it's very difficult to force somebody to pop their BKB defensively if they see you and they know that the Ravage actually has to launch before you need to do anything.
Now it looks like DK, they have the wards at the top part of the river. They see FY rotating by. They see him go up towards the ancient camp, so they know something's up. They probably have the idea that he could have blocked the camp, which he did do, and that's kind of common knowledge. You're going against a bristleback. It just seems like a common practice that you're going to be stacking those ancients so this bristleback can farm them out later. So Vici Gaming kind of want to nip that early on and make sure that they don't get anything too easy. And now we're seeing up above, Black was trying to go for a heal bomb from the low ground to kind of steal a creep. But Bristle, he comes from the other side, does eat a little bit of harassment from the stun. But he's already what looks like level 2. He's sharing the lane with this Omni Knight here, so he's not getting a lot of solo experience. But with Black around, he should be A-okay.
Yeah, some pretty interesting allocations on these lanes. DK running the dual off lane. FY spending a lot of time mid keeping the pressure down on the Storm, and actually going to back up into Fog and try and look for a Fissure block here.
Got it. But there's still a crack to walk out from. It looked like almost if he just kind of let the first one go, it would have been good enough, but just a little bit too much hesitation, and it's only going to hit him with a little bit of damage. Not enough to lock him in place, and you can feel that they really want to try to bring down this Storm Spirit before he does get that level 6. And blocking with a Fissure is just a non-factor. So they try to make the best of it. The early rotation not going to happen so far. Yet to see our first blood happen. A lot of close calls, but nothing really coming out of it for Ice in his offlane. He goes Tranquils. That's a bit different for a PL. The PLs we've been seeing from like a Fear or a Banana Slam Jamma, it's like your power treads, you get your Aquila, and then go like right for the defusal. Maybe a Midas if you're feeling pretty special and frisky and greedy, but Ice with the Tranquil grab. And he even has additional armor on top of that with the Ring of Protection. I imagine that, though, will be the Aquila. He does get stunned here, doesn't doppelganger it, and just does a little bit of harassment with the Spirit Lance, and he'll walk away.
Yeah, he would have needed the Tranquils much earlier if he hadn't actually found a regen rune bot, but actually manages to grab that one and gives him some extra Spirit Lance spam, which doesn't seem like the biggest deal, but the Troll Warlord and the Venge are actually both out of regen. They didn't bring very much to the lane. I think underestimating the Phantom Lancer a little bit, and this is where Ice can start to take over. He goes in there and finds the Venge, but I think he does it just because he knows the Venge is out of regen, and if he forces some damage, then she has to go all the way back to base, which is what we're seeing now, and that gives him a ton of space to grab some CS in the meantime. And everyone in this game is actually getting really good farm just because of how the lanes panned out and having relatively weak zoning supports in general.
Well, it doesn't look like DK knew that he might have blocked that camp, because In July is going to try to stack it right now. That sentry still has a nice minute left on it, so this stack not going to be happening, and he's going to be in for a rude awakening, or at least when he returns that, hey, what happened? I should have more here, and, well, I'll just have to put up with it. So the fallback of farm is going to be nerfed down a little bit, and that's, props, of course, to the support staff of Vici Gaming to kind of address it. So with that, though, we could see a bit of a turnaround here. The level 6s for these mid laners are coming online. Super is actually just above 6, and your Storm Spirit hits it right now. And Black's here. They want to put to use that 6 right away. Moves on forward. FY reserving the Fissure for now. Maybe fearing about the Omni Knight. First blood happens elsewhere, but we'll keep eyes on here. It's going to be Super going down. Your Storm Spirit grabs it. FY, unfortunately, couldn't save him. And, well, with that, they make strong use of that early level 6, but on the other side, it was actually Ice that was your first blood.
Yes, somehow ends up being brought down on bottom. I was paying attention to mid as well. That was really nicely timed out of DK. The instant that Storm gets 6, the repel gets dropped on him, and he goes a fraction of a second later. If there had been any hesitation, then I think the repel would have worn off, and FY would have been ready with the stun, but just long enough that he does manage to grab that kill. So yeah, nice start for DK, but similar kind of story last game, and we saw how that ended up working out. So we'll see if they can hold on to the lead a little bit better this time around.
In July, adding pressure onto How here. Did not get any sort of early value point into Goo, and he might have gone too far. They turn right back. They pop out the Doom here, and they do manage to also drop down the Scream. Was it the Scream? What's it called? Yeah, it's the Thunderclap. That's what it was. It wasn't quite the Centaur stop, but the Thunderclap has certainly helped bring him down, and they get the Bristleback dropped. Almost a bit of a bait right there from How as they just quickly turn it around on him. And, well, it looks like at the same moment, like before, it's Shadowfiend who goes down, though, in the mid lane. 3-1 advantage for DK.
Yeah, I can only assume just another repelled Storm Spirit coming at him, and not a whole lot that poor FY could do. This is such a staple of the, I would say in particular the Chinese scene, to have your Earthshaker be ready to sit and defend mid, but the Omni Knight is doing his job and just letting Storm Spirit keep the pressure up.
Has little mana now, so I imagine your Omni Knight, if he's going to play it this way. Oh, hold on, though. They make the repel dive again. This time Super doesn't want to risk getting into any sort of fisticuffs, so allow him to move on forward and then just kind of steps away from it. But if your Omni Knight's going down this road of very supportive build-up, which it looks like he is, I mean, not doing any sort of early value point into the degen aura. He's just here looking to level up this repel. In fact, he puts 3 points into it, even above the purification, just already banking on the chance that they're going to be able to make strong use out of it. And he does indeed get the Soul Ring. A big grab for him. Hell, I think he could even get Tranquils as well, just to balance it out with a good bit of regen and some extra move speed, which he could certainly use.
Omni Knight's even a hero where I think you consider going both Arcanes and Soul Ring, just because you do need the extra mana pool, and you can pull some cutesy stuff with dropping your Arcanes, using the Soul Ring, picking up the Arcanes again to get a little bit of extra mana and keep stretching it out. So we might also see him going for that. Does kind of depend on the farm. This is also a really good game to potentially pick up a Force Staff, get people back over the top of Fissures, get people away while they're hexed, or Earth Spiked by the Lion. So I think he could also just go for a Tranquils into a Force Staff kind of build up. So, if he can get that kind of farm.
Yeah, if he can get that kind of farm. If he can, then you're in a sweet spot. That's just a luxury right there for him. But checking out bottom, slow flies out on Ice Ice Ice. Here comes the other Super, moving on in and does the quick doppelganger, and we'll be able to get closer to the tower. He was very low on life, so made the right call right there. But your Troll continues to find some sweet farm down here. He's 47 and 10 for CS. And he's above, obviously, your PL is at 29 and 4, but Troll is second in net worth, the highest right now for DK, only kind of being trounced slightly from your Doom. How? Top lane. He's got his Midas. He's got 1,300 gold. We'll have to see if he decides to put more priority in getting maybe an early Blink Dagger, or if he wants to go right for the Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, either way, I think this is definitely a Blink Ags refresher game. One way or the other, maybe a BKB or something along the way, though it only really helps you, helps you quite a bit against the Storm, but otherwise not all that much. Fenrir's grabbed his level 6, so they're trying to get a Finger of Death gank down towards this bottom, and taking advantage of the fact that this ward is here, actually, because they saw it planted earlier with Ice Ice Ice's obs. So a little bit of false sense of security for Troll Warlord, as he might get jumped in a sec.
There's smoke on both sides, though. They're also trying to go on Hal, but Hal might be able to walk away. But on the other side, they are successful. They get the catch. We see the back end of it there. The fissure connects, and they get the finger off. Your Troll will be taken down. So a successful smoke gank on the bottom for Vici Gaming. The same smoke gank for DK on the top. Not happening. Hal sees something coming his way. He just simply steps on out, and there's not a whole lot that DK can do to follow through with it. Maybe a bit of a panic moment right there from DK. Troll could be calling out that he's getting ganked, and they're kind of second-guessing what they can do on the top lane, but good moves for Vici Gaming. That Troll was building up a sweet spot there in the bottom lane, and they needed to make sure they can keep him in check. So now they can have pressure. It looks like the tier 1 should be able to go down as Ice 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 will kind of cut the creeps here.
DK still finding some kind of a response, looking for this tier 1 mid, but the glyph is still up for the Dire. Though it looks like they're not sending anyone back just yet to try and defend.
It will take them a bit longer. Vici Gaming, though, they smoke. They're going to let them feel comfortable about taking this tower so that they can come in from behind and really catch him off guard. And your repel was just used. Will be up right now as he's invested the extra point into it. Jumps forward. and tries to jump out, but the Doom does connect. Do they have enough to catch up? Well, the Phantom Rush forward comes out from Ice Ice Ice. A Guardian Angel will have to be used to save him, but the Shockwave gets it done from the creep, and now Black will be dead thereafter. VG Gaming taking down Black. I can't help but chuckle about that one. As they'll look to turn and now maybe return their own bit of pressure on this tier 1 mid. Good smoke movement. They were kind of hoping for a bit more there, but they walk away with their Omni Knight takedown.
Yeah, Vici just being a tiny bit ahead in going for that trade gives them the opportunity to come and grab those additional kills, and well, looks like just gonna have to back off for now. No real opportunity to force in any further. The other big thing was seeing that the Troll Warlord was sort of about half HP up on top lane and not really ready to TP in and respond. So long as if they're ganking the Storm, he's the one that's really scary, you know, for TPing in and counter-initiating, but even the other counter-initiators from DK were there already waiting on middle lane, so Vici didn't have to be scared of the additional heroes potentially porting their way in, really.
Looks like for How on his Doom, his first item choice is going to be the Agnums. He's already got the point booster at 1,400 gold. He is still holding the top of the net worth right now, 6,800. His brother and teammate, I guess you could say, not really his brother, but his colleague, I guess, it's your Shadow Fiend on Super, 5,800. He's got his mechanism now complete on hand with Power Treads. So the mech build up for him, and he might have to use it. Oh, nope. Jump forward, and Storm will sidestep the Earth Spike there. He's just trying to dance with him a bit as he has a haste rune that's already been popped. And for your Storm Spirit, he's going right for the Bloodstone. Some Storm Spirits, they like to, you know, first get a hold of a reliable Soul Ring and then go straight forward for the Orchid. But I guess for some of them, if they want to, you know, get more farm. I think it was you who was preaching about it last time we were casting together. You know, yeah. You got to get the Bloodstone if you really want to accelerate that farm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be buying Orchid, Bloodstone, and BKB, by far the fastest order to buy them is to go Bloodstone into Orchid to BKB. Jump in mid in July.
Yeah. Whoa, that was just like, hi, welcome to mid lane. We're Vici Gaming. They move forward, and they just get welcomed with a fissure and just a couple of raises, and your Bristleback is dead.
You were considering crossing the river? Like, no. But back to your side.
Back away! You shall not pass. Vici Gaming holds strong there, and they have to walk their way up to the top. They even force out the glyph, and it looks like DK are just not going to risk wondering who's out there in the shadows of the dark. If we look at their vision, they can't see a couple rotate up here, but they don't know who else could be there. And there is a nearby super, so they're going to play it extra safe. Bottom lane, though. Uh-oh. TY, he's in trouble. Ice on the hunt here. And this is before he even gets his Diffusal Blade. I'm really curious to see. I mean, he has a Blade of Alacrity. I'm just assuming he has to get the Diffusal and an Omni in the game, but that's when things really get intense. Oh, what's going on over here near the Ancients? There's a brawl breaking out. It's Super walking away with a quick double kill. Looks like they just kind of ascend up to the Ancient stack where they anticipate Bristle maybe looking to go with the bit of farm, and they get a sweet grab, taking down the Troll and the Vengeful Spirit.
Top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it looks like Fenrir got a sweet Earth Spike off in the sort of the narrow confines around there, so some very straightforward kills there for Vici. How already getting pretty... I was about to say pretty close to his Aghanim Scepter. It's done. It's on the courier. It's on its way out, so...
Oof. His farm is just becoming pretty gross here, so your Omni Knight might be quivering a bit. Make sure he's at the right place at the right time, and he opted to go for the Tranquils, so he can kind of put the mileage in across the map. As long as he doesn't attack a creep or anything, he'll be able to keep that move speed regardless of popping off hills. But there's going to be your first big Agnum's Doom, and it connects onto In July. And wow, just a cherry on top from FY. No respect with that Echo Slam just to finish him off.
He wanted the kill secure for some Blink Dagger gold.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't get it. A little bit of a waste, but he's probably not gonna find too many opportunities to use it anyway. It's just a level 7 Earthshaker.
Makes for a little bit of hype, which we could certainly use. So I'm down with the dunkage. That's the thing is, I think Earthshaker is one of the most satisfying heroes to play. Like when you do land, even when you don't land a good dunk and it's on one person, it feels like it resonates through your whole body. Like, bah! Then you quickly realize you actually hit no one, and you're a disappointment to your team.
It happens. It happens to everyone. But
There's
yeah,
some best
the satisfaction is worth all the fails along the way.
I'm sure FY has plenty of satisfying dunks under his belt, so we'll see if he'll get to unleash a little bit of that here for us, as he's got about 1k gold, so he's en route towards his Blink Dagger. But the big item pickup right now is Ice Ice Ice. He's got his Diffusal Blade. This is when things get real fun if you're a PL. I mean, right now, you know, this hero, he's more of a fighter. This is when a lot of people feel that this is the weapon he needs to start the fight. You get so many illusions so quick. Yeah, they don't last as long as they did previously, but they just come out in full force, and then your mana just goes out. So I'll see what he makes of use of it. Plus, you know, it removes Repel, so I guess that's a perk too.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about Vici Gaming's lineup here is that almost all of their cores can protect their supports from the Storm Spirit. If you look at it, if the Earthshaker or the Lion is teamed up with any of the 3 cores and the Storm Spirit jumps in, Doom can drop Doom, Ice 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 can purge off the Repel potentially, or just force him back, and Super can pop Mech. So long as the supports just stick with one of their cores, use a buddy system, they're safe from the storm, and that means that he can't build up Bloodstone charges and can't snowball nearly as hard as some of the games that we've been, seeing recently. So Vici really responding well to the early Storm Spirit pickup from DK.
Yeah, I mean, what it looks like so far with this series is they are not about holding back. They want to put it out there that yesterday's matches were a fluke, and they are definitely worth the strong Vici Gaming name still, and want to make a strong showing at this point from here on out and make it to stage number 2. As they kind of go down their docket, they easily get a Roche that's uncontested, while DK are just still trying to get that tier 1 in the top lane. They do get it, so jungle will be open a little bit here. I'm checking out the supports to see if maybe they got some wards on hand. They don't, so they already have a pretty aggressive ward actually as I check things out over by this big camp. The question is, will they be able to make use of it? I mean, this is when your Storm Spirit, like we saw in the previous game in the hands of Vici Gaming Super, when you start going and finding those supports and picking them off. So they go on the hunt right now, but they're not going to find anyone. Vici Gaming are on bottom, and they're killing in July. Look at the mana go bye-bye. He even, what is that? Does he have a, he pops out the mech, which reduces him to nothing. Mech costs 250 mana now. For your Bristleback, that's a good chunk of his mana.
If you don't have any mana, then the Diffusal Blade can't do any damage to you, but it also means that Bristleback can't do any damage himself. So that's a little bit of a shame. And Vici just not done. It's apparently high ground time.
Yeah, they start moving on in here. They give in July the Repel, and they're like, get out there. Quill, do something. Stop them from pushing. They're getting into our home. We got to keep him out. But the Fissure does land, connects on in July. He's going to be forced to walk through the middle, but the Doom will hit him. He's got to walk back into the healing bath and hope he can withstand the extra bit of deeps. But the tier 3 goes down. Hal's like, let's go. Well, we're leaving? Okay, we'll leave. And it looks like Vici Gaming are going to play it a bit disciplined here. They don't want to overstay their welcome. So they walk away with that for now. They still have the Aegis. They're still comfortable and good. They'll just kind of itemize to that next step and then maybe look to make another go.
Yeah, they can still definitely get another push done with a Doom, with the Aegis. So I don't think there's any reason to rush. The tier 3 is already still a really nice prize to grab. And the other thing as well, talked about this in some of the previous casts, you do need to be really careful when you're pushing into, especially a hero like Storm Spirit, who can be so punishing either with a short Bloodstone respawn or just with a buyback. So Vici gonna pay at least a little bit of respect to that here.
Oh, really Lance onto TY here, but just a little bit of footsie play coming out from Ice Ice Ice. Just keeping the pressure here on the bottom where they would love to kind of take advantage of these exposed racks that are now free and open and oh so tasty. But for DK, this is the time to try to make a big turnaround, and might have to come on the back of their troll with a beautifully timed and placed counterplay with a Guardian Angel. I mean, if they can make Vici Gaming perhaps feel a bit too comfortable and maybe get too overzealous, they could pop down a nicely timed Guardian Angel and just take it right back to them. But that's a big if. So we'll see if they have it in them to get it done. But they're going to need to do something as far as defense goes here in the bottom, because the images are coming out and oh no, Super's going down and will be dropped. The next Doom, hey, in July, he just is not like Hal whatsoever. He's eaten like 2 or 3 Dooms this game, and they've ended in some quick deaths. Ice, though, tries to man up on the troll, and I don't think you always want to do that. But for now, it does keep him backing away. They quickly clear out the wave, and now they go to work onto the racks here. First things first, you got to get the melee down. And it looks like Vici Gaming are going to do successful base damage here. The first real base damage of the game. And they got to do something about it. They jump in. They get a quick pull onto Hal. Jump and dunk, but it's on a repel. FY, please. That's not what we want on the dunks. But he's going to wait for now as his Fisher will drop. There's the finger to fly and the Earth Spike. But the Guardian Angel comes out. Doesn't stop the raise. See you later, troll. And now Vici Gaming looking to clean house and end this series very quickly. Super annihilated with the Requiem from Super. And now in July, please just get me into the fountain. No, he goes down and they are done. Black says GG. And we're all done here.
All right. Well, there you go.
There it is. That was probably the fastest series of Starladder China so far. That was crazy.
I just think the draft from Vici was really, really solid. DK, I don't even know if they necessarily got kind of coaxed into that, but Vici definitely knowingly left they took the line, they left the troll, they left the storm in the pool. DK took them, and it seemed like Vici, even though there were a couple of other things thrown in there, like the Omni Knight that may have caught them a little bit by surprise, they took it in their stride. And I really think a lot of this just came down to the draft and playing really intelligently around the Storm Spirit, really never letting him get anything done. You know, he ends the game with 2 kills, but I think both of those were the back-to-back kills on Shadow Fiend that they got with the initial repels on mid. Other than that, Vici never presented any pickoffs, really. Yeah. So, well done.
Very well done. That's the Vici Gaming we were expecting to see yesterday. And it did look that way in Game 1 yesterday, but then 2 and 3, it was all Hyper Glory team. But here they're back, and they take it to DK, and they just get the job done quickly. And, well, first I want to say, folks, sorry again about game number 1. I actually already uploaded the VOD from game number 1 onto the Beyond the Summit YouTube. And with the break we're going to have between, Series 1 and 2, you actually have time to go back and watch Game 1 if you want. It's going to be about an hour and 15 minutes till the next game because this one ended pretty swiftly. So, go ahead, take your time, get something to eat, do what you got to do. But before you go, show some love and support over here. You can hit follow on the channel, and you can follow myself as well as Basskip on our Twitters. Catch him over at Basskip and catch me at KotLGuy. It's a pleasure as always, folks, to bring you the Dota action. We'll be back with more of it at about 5 a.m. Pacific time. That's 8 a.m. Eastern. CET, I believe that's 1300. So about an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll see you then.
G2A.com, the best video game store ever! Fast as lightning, solid as a rock, cheap as duck! What's more, you can sell on it because it's also a marketplace. Remember G2A.com, the best video game store ever!